What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Entertainment. My name's Josh, and today we're reviewing Spenser Confidential. If you're new to this channel, I review TV shows, movies, games, anything in the entertainment industry. So consider subscribing below. Now let's get into the video. Spenser Confidential, starring Mark Wahlberg, Winston Duke, and a bunch of other actors you've seen on screen, but I don't even know their names. Now, this movie takes place where Mark Wahlberg is getting out of prison for beating up his captain because Mark Wahlberg had suspicions that he was a crooked cop. And the movie really goes on from there. When Mark Wahlberg gets out of prison, the guy that he went to prison for ends up dying, and another guy that he knows ended up dying too. He thinks that this is all connected in somehow, and he thinks that someone's behind it. Now, what I liked about this movie, I definitely liked Mark Wahlberg a lot. I think he was pretty good. I've seen him in better roles that made me actually really like the movie. Mark Wahlberg's got the mindset of a cop, so he's constantly figuring out what's going on, who's behind all this stuff, why are these people dying. Now, when Mark Wahlberg gets out of prison, he ends up being a detective in a sense. It's not like he works for the force anymore. It's he knows something is going on and he wants to get to the bottom of this because a lot of his friends and good cops are dying for no reason. He ends up meeting Winston Duke's character where he also went to prison and is trying to better himself in life. Now, Winston Duke also did some time, so he's also a felon as well. So to better his life, he wants to become an MMA fighter. He wants to, in a sense, release some of the rage that he has for doing time. In the beginning of the movie, they don't like each other, but as the film goes on, they're basically each other's sidekicks. And their relationship really worked for me. They're living with the same guy. They're both from prison. Winston wants to do better. Spenser wants to do better. It's a very good combination, in my opinion. Spenser's mind is always running. He's always trying to figure out what happened here, what happened there, why did this happen? And for me, it kind of worked. I was never really bored with this movie. I was never extremely entertained with this film, but definitely there were some parts where it kind of, let's go, come on, keep going. The story is very cliche. If you've seen any cop movie, you already know how this movie is basically going to play out. From the time this movie started, for me, I kind of already picked up on who was going to be the actual killer or group, if that's what you want to call it. I guess from seeing so many films that are kind of in the same realm of this movie, it kind of already made my mind go that way, and it turns out I was right in the end. Not saying it's a bad film at all. It's definitely a good film. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's definitely a Netflix movie. If you turn this movie on, you're going to get entertained. You're definitely not going to be bored at all. Mark is definitely the stand-on in this movie. He brings it to an extent, but also I feel like he was forcing a little bit with the character. It almost felt like he was reading from a script at some points. Not the whole movie, but there were definitely some points you know that it came straight from the script. Now, what I didn't like about this movie is Spenser's got a girlfriend who's got a hard accent from Boston, and she's just a crazy, psychotic girl, almost in a sense. I think they put her in here to give the movie a comedic element. Every movie is going to have that one character or that one piece of evidence that's inside the film that's going to make the audience laugh. Although her comedy was actually pretty on point for most of the movie, there's scenes where she's just yelling for no reason at Spenser, Mark Wahlberg. They'll get into a fight and she's yelling at him for something that he did in the past, or she'll insult him for no reason. I felt like it was a little unnecessary, at least for me. For you, it could definitely work. It could definitely not. If you've seen the trailer for this movie, you already know how the movie's going to end. It's super, super cliche, and it worked. It's definitely a Netflix film. I feel like if this movie went into theaters, it wouldn't do as good as it's doing on Netflix. But all in all, I was kind of happy with it. It's definitely a good movie that you turn on if you've never seen it. I wouldn't go pay money for this movie if I went to the theaters at all, but definitely a Netflix film. And that's pretty much all the bad I have to say about this movie. I'm just a super big fan of Mark Wahlberg's career. I've been following him for a very long time, back to the Enough days when he was really, really young. Another thing about this movie that a lot of people are going to enjoy is Post Malone's in it. He's one of the guys that is inside the prison who has a lot of connections on the outside. Now, his role in the movie is not extremely big. They cut back to him a couple times during the movie, but other than that, he's one of those guys where he has a lot of connections on the outside, and he plays a super big role inside the movie at one point, and then after that, you never see him again. Also, Cowboy Cerrone from the UFC is in this movie, so I'm a big UFC fan, and I really got happy when I seen him in there. The opening scene is he kicks Mark Wahlberg in the stomach, and he's like, "Did you just kick me, bro?" So I thought that was really funny. Other than that, Spenser Confidential is a pretty generic cop movie. I liked it. It's definitely a good Netflix film. I'm going to give Spenser Confidential a 7 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for coming to my review for Spenser Confidential. Hit that subscribe button down below and let me know what your favorite Mark Wahlberg movie is. We'll see you next time, everyone.